Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for watching. Tonight, some relief for auto workers. Plus, a pair of cross-border nurses say they're still facing tax troubles. An update on their push to get things straightened out. A counselor in Chatham-Kent is sharing her struggle with breast cancer and encouraging other women to do self-checks. A bus full of food. Local high school students have come through and made a special delivery earlier today for those in need. We begin with the auto industry. Hundreds of Stellantis workers put on layoff notice last year have been told their jobs are safe. The second shift at the Windsor Assembly plant is no longer on the chopping block.
We knew we had an extension. We didn't know for how long, but they notified us that today that they will no longer be reducing the second shift, which is great news. It's a great Christmas present for all of us. People have been on edge for a long time.
Stellantis first said it would cut the second shift last year, but it continued to push those layoffs back. This move keeps about 1,800 people on the job into the summer months. That's when the Windsor Assembly plant is expected to shut down for weeks. Stellantis is making major changes so it can build new vehicles. The plant will be able to make 3 different types once the multi-billion-dollar retooling is complete: battery and gas-powered vehicles, as well as hybrid vehicles like the Pacifica. That's when the third shift will likely return, according to Cassidy. But the transition to battery-powered vehicles will mean changes to the workforce.
We know we're going to have the ICE engine, which keeps more manpower there. And then as that phases out, we just have the battery. Then obviously, there's going to be some, potential job loss at that time. And we'll already be into bargaining at that time. We won't have the engine line. Things in the transmission are not the same, right? So, but we are going to be getting the batteries that are going to come in, and then we're going to have to pack the batteries. So, that's potentially a couple hundred jobs.
Cassidy says he wants to tour the company's battery plant in Michigan. He believes that will help the union better understand what this transition will look like. The new battery plant in Windsor will need 2,500 employees when it fires up in 2024. An update to a story we brought you last week. It has to do with cross-border workers who say the Canada Revenue Agency wrongly emptied and froze their bank accounts. This is Laura Christensen. She's a nurse at a children's hospital in Detroit. Christensen says the CRA told her she owes thousands of dollars in back taxes. But she believes they're wrong. She says she submitted proof she paid her taxes. The nurse now plans to file a grievance in the matter, and she wasn't the only one with issues. The CRA won't comment on individual cases, but they say they do consider people's objections to claims. A spokesperson told us, quote, "The processing timelines and service standard for each level of complexity varies and may be longer than usual due to an increased volume of objections related to COVID-19 benefits and subsidies." Windsor-Tecumseh MP Eric Kusmerchik says his office has noticed bumps in the road.
COVID, there were some bumps in the road. COVID provided some challenging situations, and we worked with those affected workers during COVID. We worked with the federal government, with the ministers at CRA to solve those issues, and we're working right now to address those specific concerns that were raised as well too. So I'm confident that we'll be able to address those issues and to provide the information that those workers need.
Public sector workers are asking the Premier not to appeal a recent court ruling on Bill 124. Late last month, a court said the bill, which caps worker wage increases, was unconstitutional.
Do not appeal the court ruling. Bill 124, no more. The Premier must stop attacking workers. This is vital. The Premier must stop targeting female-dominated professions like nurses, healthcare workers, and teachers.
A number of different unions coming together today to present the Premier with a Christmas card asking him not to appeal the court ruling. The deadline for the government to appeal is December 29th. For its part, the government says today it intends to appeal and continues to review the court's decision. Chatham-Kent councillor Melissa Harrigan is going public with her breast cancer diagnosis. She has invasive ductal carcinoma. The mother of 3 is now focusing on getting better as she starts chemotherapy today. She's also temporarily stepping away from her council duties. I checked in this week to see how she was doing.
I feel strong. I certainly feel well. I will say that having a cancer diagnosis does come with a bit of stress and anxiety, so working through that. But overall, I feel really good. I feel ready to start the treatment journey.
Why was it important for you to speak publicly about this?
Yeah, for 2 reasons, I would say. So the first is my responsibility to my constituents. So I'm a West Kent councillor in Chatham-Kent, and this is my 2nd term on council. And I have always advocated for transparency and openness as a councillor. And I wanted my constituents to know that I intend to step away during all of the active treatment time that I will be working through my cancer diagnosis, so that I can really focus on health and recovery. And secondly, while small, I recognize that in my community, I do have a bit of a platform. So I have people who follow me on social media and are looking to me for regular news. And I thought, if I'm going to go through this cancer journey, it is so important to me that women my age and younger understand that breast cancer is not an illness you get as you grow older. It's certainly something that can happen to anyone. And to share my story allows for more women to think about the importance of annual checkups with their physicians, Pap screening and breast exams, and asking for baseline mammograms if they do find lumps or unusual spots on their breasts.
And what's the community response been like?
Oh, it's been wonderful. It's been overwhelmingly supportive. I will say friends, neighbors, and family have stopped in and have come together to help us plan how we will be supported through chemo. I'll be on chemo for 4 months at least. And so, planning meals and helping with house support has been just amazing. But also the general community, people I don't know are sending me messages to tell me that they're in my corner, and that's been amazing. And I will say overwhelmingly positive. It's nice to know that my kids and my husband, when they're out in the community, also will have that support from friends and neighbors and people that they see in our town.
How is your family doing? Because you're so young and you have 3 kids. How are you managing this as a family?
Yeah, so our family is very open, and I am certainly, I'm an extrovert, and I like to have conversations and dinner conversations with our kids. So we've been very open with them. Before my biopsy, we talked to them about what biopsies were for and how we learn more about that through that process. We've talked to them about cancer and what cancer means and what chemotherapy means and how it's important to understand that right now, cancer is not going to make me sick, but the chemotherapy to make the cancer go away will make me sick. So my children range between the age of 6 and 11. So the questions coming from the 6-year-old are more about my hair loss and some of the impacts. And the questions coming from my 11-year-old are a bit more nuanced in nature, but we're talking through it. And we're very lucky. My whole family lives within a 10-kilometer radius of each other. We have a great support system, and our family is going to get through this together because we believe that we're strong together.
A state of emergency has been declared at Oneida Nation of the Thames, west of London. The levels in the community's water tower are at an all-time low, so people there have been told not to use water from their taps unless absolutely necessary. The tower is the primary source of water for 550 homes in the community and 22 buildings. Extreme weather is to blame for the tank running low. It usually draws water from the Thames River. On top of conservation efforts, a boil water advisory is still in place, and that was first ordered in September 2019. Leaders say they're receiving short-term water deliveries from a private water company and are monitoring the situation daily. A local leader says the community has been working for years to try to improve the water infrastructure and says this is a blatant example of slow progress with truth and reconciliation. The Great Lakes and St. Lawrence River are an economic lifeblood. They are relied on by industry, shipping, tourism, and energy producers in both Canada and the U.S. But climate change is threatening that. Modeling predicts a future with significant fluctuation of water levels, and that's already having a negative impact on people's lives and livelihoods. CBC's Jayla Bernstein reports.
Cliff Steinberg says water levels got so low this summer in this stretch of the river that he could see waterlogged ghost towns peeking out.
You could actually see some of the old foundations just exposed.
Eastern Ontario's lost villages were flooded in the 50s to make way for the St. Lawrence Seaway. Their reappearance, a novelty, but also a symbol of local frustration.
We're unable to use our boats, get our boats in and out of our docks.
Low water levels are more than a nuisance here, reshaping a region that's long been a destination for boating, fishing, and beaches.
Launching a boat, there just wasn't enough water. So it's impacting business.
With entire bays drying up, some fear it's also hurting fish populations.
When I went back there this past summer, for example, it was nothing more than a field.
Many locals blame this for their problems, the Moses Saunders Power Dam. The international dam manages the flow of water from Lake Ontario downstream towards the Port of Montreal, making this area vulnerable to seesawing levels. The water drops every time the dam opens to let more water flow downriver.
We're likely to see higher highs and lower lows on both ends of the scale.
This stick shows how much Lake Ontario's water levels varied in the last century. This researcher says climate change could widen that margin from about 2 meters to 3. The dam, he says, can only do so much as weather becomes more extreme.
There's a finite amount of water. We can't change that.
The operational plan of the Moses Saunders Dam is under review, and a key question is how to manage the flow of water in and out of the dam for climate change. But scientists say towns upriver and downriver are likely going to have to adapt.
I think communities will have to take steps to better protect shorelines, protect their areas, and even adapt so that ensure that they can get their boats in the water.
This region is doing exactly that, investing millions in building new boat ramps, dredging, and break walls, hoping to be ready for whatever the future holds. Jayla Bernstein, CBC News, along the St. Lawrence River.
A busload of cans has found its way to the Windsor-Essex Food Bank Association. Last week, we brought you a story about students at Vincent Massey High School kicking off their food drive, and today they tallied up their results. Windsor Morning's Nav Nanwa went along for the ride.
A lot of the message that we're trying to share is what we can accomplish when we do things together. So engage our entire community, the school community as a whole. I mean, we have done things in the past where it was one class versus another. We did a grade war, so to speak, for this one, just to kind of instill a little competition. There's one total, and it's all going towards a good cause.
How much food are we talking here?
My goodness. For reference, we had one class which crushed everyone else, but Mr. Ing's grade 12 homeroom, shout out to them. They raised over 2,300 cans alone.
Wow. Tell me about that feeling it was for you and your classmates to be able to work on something like this and be able to give back to the community.
It's great to give such a large quantity of cans and to know that it's going to a good place. But I think that we were only able to give such a large number of cans because our teacher, Mr. Ing, at school, he's like a local legend. Whenever we have our yearly can drive, he always pushes his class to bring in thousands of cans. So this is our legacy moment.
I thought it was super cool that we came together as a community and as a class, and we were able to bring all this money together and put it towards a really good cause. So it feels really awesome.
We just unloaded the Transit Windsor bus and filled about 6 large crates of donations. What's your thoughts on how everything went down?
I think it's absolutely awesome. The need is great. So to see all that food come in was truly, truly amazing and great job. That food is needed, and no matter how much it is, every bit counts.
reminder that we are still collecting for Sounds of the Season. You can drop off donations at CBC Windsor until January, and we're also accepting donations for the food bank online. People who donate can also put their names in for different prizes. For more details, head to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Well, we had some nice sunshine earlier today, but poor conditions coming later in the week. We got a weather statement urging us to prep for a major storm. Dahlia Ashry will have more after the break. Dahlia Ashry joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. Dahlia, we were thrilled in the newsroom to look out the window and see some sun today, making a brief appearance, but maybe just the calm before the storm.
That's exactly it. Tomorrow is the first official day of winter, and you're right, Katerina. It is the calm before the storm, and when we say storm, we're talking about the literal, actual storm that's around the corner on Friday. Thursday, not so much, but there's still a potential of that mixture of rain and snow. Tonight, a little chilly as well. But let's just see what's happening here. I mean, usually the normal high is 0 degrees. Today's 0, and usually the normal low is -6, and today's -4. So we're sitting around seasonal temperatures today. I won't be able to say the same on Thursday, and Friday will probably be below that freezing mark. It is currently -1 in Windsor, a little cooler out in Sarnia and Chatham-Kent, below that freezing mark. And of course, when you factor in a little bit of that wind chill, it does feel a lot colder. Now let's take a look here and see what is happening. Katerina, earlier in the show, you mentioned that there is a weather statement that is in effect, and you're absolutely right, it is. And it's in effect, especially as we're talking about Friday. We're going to see a lot of snow. A blizzard is on its way. Just something to look out for and plan ahead, especially if you have any holiday plans for the weekend heading into the Christmas day. So look at that. All that blue right there, that intense and dark blue and the light blue, that means that we could be seeing in Windsor anywhere up to 5 to 20 centimeters of snow by Friday around 7 o'clock. So really it's going to start off with a little bit of flurries, rain on Thursday, but then it will become much more intense. And as we could see here, if we take a closer look, we will get a better idea of that right now. So we'll see a lot of that cloud coverage and then that rain, which is all that green right there. So that's what we're seeing Thursday night. It'll really pick up, and then there's that mixture of rain and snow, and then it becomes quite stronger. All that blue right there means a lot of snow. It means blizzard. It means strong winds, which means could potentially mean some power outages. So speaking of strong winds, winds are 39 kilometers an hour for Thursday, and it'll pick up to 54 kilometers an hour, and then it'll get really intense. By Friday evening, we could be seeing winds gusting up to 72 kilometers an hour and even up to 75. Across Toronto, winds will be even gusting up to 100 kilometers an hour. So that could be some down power lines, just something to look out for, some travel hazards. Tonight, temperature will drop in Windsor, a low -7, just something to look out for. And again, look at that. Tomorrow, first official day of winter, but Mother Nature's fooling us. And then a lot of that snow coverage over Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. A white Christmas is ahead.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of viewers, probably like myself, were just listening intently because a lot of us have to do some driving. I'm quite nervous. I have a Friday night drive that I might have to delay. I'm sure a lot of people are in a similar boat.
That's right, Katerina. And honestly, the advice that we always give is if you don't need to go anywhere, stay indoors. That's your best bet.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Dahlia.
Thanks.
When we come back, a look at the situation in Hong Kong and the pressure on the Canadian government to do more to help. Stay with us. Hong Kong is experiencing its biggest wave of emigration in decades. Residents are fleeing as political freedoms and civil rights are disappearing. Many are coming to Canada, and the federal government is coming under pressure to make it easier for them to stay here. CBC's Lisa Shing has more.
Small comforts of home in a time of big change there.
The Hong Kong that we grew up in, that we used to know, it's not the same anymore.
That's why this woman, who wants her identity hidden out of fear for her family's safety, left Hong Kong last year. One of tens of thousands to do so since 2019, the city's largest exodus perhaps ever.
When we're seeing clips like police brutality or just, protesters being beat up, it's just like, it's very hopeless that you cannot actually do something about it.
Many former residents say they left Hong Kong because of China's tightening grip on the semi-autonomous region, including Daviv Lai.
I think nowadays in Hong Kong is not a better place to let my kids grow up.
When the former British colony reverted back to Chinese rule in 1997, China promised Hong Kong autonomy. But following massive anti-government demonstrations in 2019, Beijing passed a sweeping law, making it easier to prosecute protesters. The final straw for many, strict COVID lockdowns as other countries relaxed regulations.
People are rushing to get out, especially those with young kids. They are trying to, ensure that their kids will have a education in a liberal democratic society.
Hong Kong says 110,000 residents left in the first half of 2022 alone. Many have come to Canada through special federal programs. This immigration lawyer says his clients feel those programs are too strict, eligible to only those who have graduated from a post-secondary institution in the last 5 years.
Yes, there is an argument to expanding these programs to catch more of those mid-career professionals and other highly qualified people.
Especially because many of them don't plan to go home anytime soon.
You don't see a future there?
Yes, that is exactly the words that I would use to describe.
Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada tells CBC News Hong Kong residents can apply to other immigration programs or seek asylum if they believe they're at risk of persecution. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
The federal government will start phasing out several single-use plastics, but there are concerns that it's not a solution to the waste problem. Walmart dropped plastic bags months ago, deciding to offer reusable bags for purchase or free for customers ordering pickup or delivery orders. And as Sophia Harris reports, some customers now have hundreds of reusable bags, many more than they can use.
Larry Grant applauds the ban on plastic bags, but says this is not a smart alternative. Grant gets weekly grocery pickup from Walmart, where the plastic bags were nixed in April. Now, each order arrives in new reusable bags. So far totaling about 300. Are you able to reuse all of these?
No, I can't. I'm really frustrated. I just hope they will think about this failure, I would say, and come up with a solution.
We get like 10 to 15 of them every single week.
Natalie and Udi Selig at Walmart grocery delivery. They too are overwhelmed.
We can't return them. We can't really do much with them. This is something that, it's supposed to resolve an environmental issue, but at the same time, it actually creates more waste.
It's the right thing to do.
Walmart says its plastic bag ban is a win for the environment. But experts say this is a problem because reusable bags aren't always worthwhile.
Because of the types of materials that you use and the manufacturing process that you use to make a more durable reusable bag, you're just ending up using more energy. The environmental benefits are accrued when you use it again and again.
A recent United Nations study found a polypropylene bag needs to be used 10 to 20 times, a cotton one up to 150 times, to have a less harmful impact on the environment than a single-use plastic bag.
Just making that switch from single-use to reusable isn't always going to just end up better for the environment.
With the federal government phasing out all single-use plastic shopping bags in Canada, we could see a lot more of these, especially as grocery delivery grows in popularity. Grocer Metro says it has a solution, Customers can get their groceries delivered in a reusable plastic bin.
It's never ending. Look at that.
But some Walmart customers are still waiting for an end to this. The company says it's exploring alternatives. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
That is it for CBC Windsor News. For news anytime, you can always go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching and have a great night.